Alrighty, attention in the pits. All racers, report to the staging lanes. The show's about to start.
That's my hiney.
Yep. Oop, wrong button. Good evening, everybody, race fans across the world.
And whatever he said times two.
Let's see here. Hold on. I got
Race fans across the world.
had to put it on the megaphone so it sounded like they're at the track.
Oh, there you go. Welcome, everybody. Last week, I didn't have my goofball with me, so he's being goofier this week to make up for last week.
Well, I'm also high on paint fumes. And
Oh,
fumes
yeah.
of paint.
Yeah, he's been busy. He's been making pieces parts, and he's having to paint and sand and all kinds of stuff with that stuff. So that's why I didn't have him last week.
Yep.
But that's good. That means he's making money on a side thing or side gig, and I like it. So, yeah, last
So
week.
unfortunately, my OnlyFans ain't working.
Your OnlyFans.
Yeah, I'm doing feet pics. If anybody wants to buy them, 5 pics for $2. Come on, help a guy out. They're for a race car.
Yeah, you got to have a GoFundMe. Yeah, last week you missed it. We had a good topic. We talked about all the shit parts that we got out there.
Yeah,
And,
I tried to tune in and listen, but the air compressor was going off, and yeah.
You just couldn't hear everything.
Nope.
I get it. Well, this week we're going to talk about cylinder heads. So, you know something too is I didn't get to do last week was our
Readers' rides?
Yeah, viewer
Yeah.
rides. So hopefully you got that.
Well,
Or is that not working either?
it's not working right now.
Okay, sorry guys. So we aren't going to do
No,
that
because my temporary setup, I was getting ready to do something with make a permanent setup in the other garage, and I've been busy. I haven't got a chance,
Oh well.
unfortunately. But
it is
I
what it
promise we will be doing it. Because, well, Saturday's the last day for these parts, so if they're done or not, he's getting them.
Speaking of parts, we want to start that swap meet thing too in our
Yeah,
viewer
that's
rides.
another thing I haven't got a chance to sit down and
He's
figure
been
out yet.
busy, so we got. Well, I'll forgive him this time because he's been really busy, and as long as he's busy and he's not goofing off, I can't get mad at him.
You know, my Xbox friends, they disown me now, so I have nothing but you guys.
And that isn't a bad thing.
No, it ain't.
I mean,
Oh, yeah, and Jamie got a website up for shirts. Jamie, post that on the chat so that way I can put that in the link after this live's done.
perfect. So, can they custom order anything they want, or is
No,
there something that we
it's
have?
already we have.
Okay, got it.
And so when you click on it, maybe Jamie can explain it more. She made the website, so I hope she can explain more than I can. But she was doing that while I'm doing this. But anyways, they're already made. We have the sizes and the colors. You just have to go on there and click and figure it out.
Yeah, figure it out.
Good luck.
Because apparently he hasn't figured it out yet, so he's
Nope.
hoping his wife figured it out.
Nope, she showed me a preview of it, and I was at my day job, and I didn't have a chance to really sit down and look at it. And then, she's coming out here, so now we're in trouble.
Oh boy, ruh-roh. So maybe she got to come out and fill everybody in.
Yep. So, but yes, there is a website now where you guys can get shirts. We're going to be adding more stuff to it. It's actually my website. Well, not mine. It's our website for our business.
Explain that horribly.
Well, that's why you're coming out to help us, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So,
Come here. Yeah, get on the mic there, sweetie.
no, I don't need
No,
no
come
mic.
here.
No.
Yeah.
gotta get on the mic,
You
they
got to
can't hear
go
you.
over, sit by your hubby.
All right, ladies and gentlemen. I introduced to you my beautiful bride.
Most everybody that's on here has already seen me.
Okay, fine. I won't introduce you then. This is my wife.
My hair's all sticking straight up.
Oh my God. Everyone needs to tell her how good she looks.
No, it's all good. Okay, guys. So, anyways, I'm not staying very long. Can you just? Oh my God. All right. How do I? Where do I look?
You're right there. Right there.
Oh, that is so lame.
You know what? We honest to God don't rehearse this.
No.
This is all natural.
Yeah.
So anyhow, tell us all
Okay,
about
so
your
anyways,
t-shirts.
so if you go to johnstonfaboh.com, there up on the right side of the website is a tab that says, obviously, DCI, was it DCI Motorsports Unleashed? I think it was.
I hope so.
Yeah, so you're going to see a tab up there for like bowling. You're going to see DCI up there. You're going to see Brandon's YouTube channel. So the shirts that are on the website are the ones that we had left over from the track. So now that Brandon and I have a DTF printer, we are trying to get those sold so we can come out with the new designs. But until those are gone, we can't do anything else.
Did we discount those?
I got
Okay.
anyway. So there should be a code on there. Oh, yeah.
That's why I didn't explain anything.
okay. I don't either. I'm winging it. I am not a website designer at all. But anyways, so they're on there, but they're very limited on sizes and colors and quantities. So that's the thing. So whatever you see that's on the website that says it's available is all there is. So some shirts have like a 3XL, some shirts have a large, some are small, some are medium, that kind of thing.
So in other words, it's catch what you can.
Catch what you can. Yeah, yeah.
Right.
Johnston Fab, or is it Johnston Fabrication?
No, it's how do you not know your own website? I posted it. It's www.johnstonfab.
Hold on. I gotta put the www.
FABOH.com.
.com.
There you go.
Yahoo.
So there, yes, there's that.
All right. Now, does it have the new designs on there too?
No, this.
Okay.
Well, no, it has the new one that we took to the track this year,
Yeah.
the
Okay.
Unleashed with the Le Mans on it.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
And a few of your old ones.
No, didn't put them on there yet. Nope.
Oh, okay.
Nope. Yep. I wanted to get the new racetrack ones done, and then because your dad's got a lot of those too, and I have things I want to explain to that part.
Oh.
Yeah.
You have a lot of explaining to do.
No, well, I got ideas.
Oh boy.
Well, giveaways and some other stuff.
Okay.
I got ideas.
Well, good. I like ideas.
Yeah, because you have a ton of those shirts in a lot of different sizes still. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, you still have a good variety of each size.
Okay, good.
And we still have some hoodies too.
Oh yeah, I forgot about those.
Yeah,
Okay.
So,
Yep.
you can put together a nice little package. That's why I kind of left them out.
Okay, cool.
So
And then they got
anyways,
cups too, and all kinds of other stuff. Make
it's,
signs,
it's
art
not,
signs.
Yeah,
and-
but none of that stuff's on there yet.
All right.
She just got the website going last week, so.
So anyhow, after all that,
So how you guys doing?
he's out of breath. But so tonight, what we're going to discuss cylinder head porting, and do you need it? Do you want it? Is it something you absolutely have to have, and is it going to kill your torque in your engine? Because everybody that asks me about getting cylinder head porting done, they think it's going to kill the torque in the engine. So actually, we should start a poll on that and see what everybody thinks. So why don't we do that real quick while I start talking here? So let's have a poll. Will porting heads kill torque of the engine?
Hold on a second,
Or kill engine torque, let's put it that way.
I gotta get something going on here, cause. All right.
This is crazy.
Well,
You need to wear a
porting-
mic. Cylinder heads
Cylinder
Or-
heads kill
kill torque.
TRQUE
Yeah, I just put TQ.
or torque and horsepower or just torque?
Just torque.
Okay. Yes, no. Okay, start poll.
Cool. All right. So, anyhow, cylinder head porting. So, if you guys want to make horsepower, most of you guys are already on board and already know this, but cylinder head is the most important factor in making making horsepower. If you don't have a good cylinder head, the engine is not going to make big horsepower. You can make okay horsepower with like a factory head. You can make okay horsepower, decent horsepower, even with like an Edelbrock head or an aftermarket aluminum cylinder head. So, but if you are, I don't know, say in a class race of some kind that you're trying to maximize your horsepower potential, yes, you definitely are going to want to reshape the ports in your cylinder heads and make sure you have the proper valve job, which complements the porting work. And then on top of that, you got to port the intake manifold too. So it's not just the cylinder head. You got to port the intake manifold as well. Then you got to have the header to go with it. So like I always discuss or tell you guys whenever we talk about all this stuff, it is a complete combination from the carburetor to the tailpipe. It's not just one component, but out of all those components, the one component that makes the biggest difference is the cylinder head. And definitely cylinder head porting is what you're going to want to do if you want to make more horsepower. And then after that, the next best thing is the intake manifold itself. Unless you got a CAD guy like my son here that's going to help me with this new designed intake manifold we're working on, which out of the box we're hoping is going to be capable of 700 plus horsepower. So anyway, with that being said, so many guys, whenever we discuss porting, they don't know what level of porting to go with because they're afraid it's going to hurt the torque of the engine. So like I tell them, I said, think about it this way. All the new vehicles that are coming out on the market right now, like the Hemis and the LS engines and the Coyotes, what do them cylinder heads flow?
No idea.
I thought you knew that.
Nope.
Oh, okay. Well, so your Hemi head, the new Chrysler Hemi heads that come on the 5.7s, and I think they got a 6.2 or something now. And then the LS engines that are, all the way from the 4.8s clear up to the 7 liters. Those cylinder heads, and these are with fairly small valves in them too. The valves are just over 2 inches. They're not real big valves. These cylinder heads are flowing anywhere from 300 to 370 CFM out of the factory, which is a lot of CFM. And obviously the factory has figured out that, you know what, we need a good cylinder head if we want to make good power. And that's why these new LS engines are so powerful. They make cylinder heads flow a lot of air. And then the intake manifolds, GM has advanced to the level that they're creating intake manifolds to complement the cylinder head. Even the exhaust manifolds on these new LS engines, they look like shorty headers. I mean, these things are beautiful exhaust manifolds compared to what we used to run back in the day on the old muscle cars.
Now, if they can only get the tune right.
Well, they actually have the tune pretty good for their stuff, for their camshafts and their combo. But when you start altering it, then is when you get screwed up, and then you got to have somebody can tune it for you. And so it's really not GM's fault that that doesn't have a good tune. Like anything, like if you changed, whenever you put the ported heads and headers on your car, you had to rejet your carburetor.
Well, yes, but what I'm saying though is like their transmission tunes and those along those sorts of lines, because I still see people on the forums and stuff that I see on Facebook, and they complain about, I had to go get my transmission tuned. Now this thing runs like it should, and blah blah blah.
I don't know how. I mean, tune the transmission. What are they talking about?
Apparently you can tune the transmission to make it shift different points and shift a little bit firmer.
Yeah. But we have to do that with the old cars too. Remember, we did that with Grandpa's car with the governor on the side of it.
Yeah, but
it's mechanical, not electric.
But what I'm saying though is they never done anything more power adding to it. This is them buying it from the factory, taking it to the track, and then taking it to a tuner, taking it back to the track, and they end up getting a little bit faster.
Well, they will, because you're keeping the engine in the RPM range it wants to be in. So whenever the factory does a tune on we'll use the transmission as an example. They do that for everyday drivability and fuel economy. They're not interested in how fast you can get down a quarter mile.
Yeah, but let's be honest. We're not buying a Hellcat or a Demon for gas mileage.
No, we're not. But they do have CAFE rules and regulations they got to go by, and the car has to get certain fuel economy. So, Otherwise, they can't sell it.
They should have found a loophole. Like, all right, yeah, we make this Dodge Challenger,
Well, they did. They call it a demon.
and it makes the gas mileage that we're supposed to make, and then now we got this.
Yeah, they got the demon, and actually I think they got two different keys, and you got a like a drag pack key, and you have a daily driver key, and so you, depending on which key you put in that ignition, it changes the tune. So that is available. They do that. I think well, you know what? My Z06 Corvette had that. You had to go to the computer in the car, and you push the button. I don't remember what button I pushed on that thing, but it had street mode, it had track mode, it had a couple different modes. It was like 5 different modes. And if you had it in the number 5, holy shit, you better be hanging on. That was a fast car. That Z06 Corvette I had was a 2000, what was it, 2008 or 9?
In 2009, I think.
Yeah. So anyhow, I pulled the engine out of the 7-liter because that's what those came with, the LS7 7-liters. And I ported the heads, and I changed the camshaft, but I didn't put an exhaust on it. I left factory exhaust on it, and we tuned that thing. And I'm telling you right now, that was a wicked fast street car. It probably ran, I never had to track, I'm just guesstimating, but I'm thinking it runs somewhere in the mid-10s. And that was through the exhaust with pump gas. It was wicked fast. But anyways, so, you know, the cylinder heads, if you want to make more power, that's where you want to spend your money at. You can change the camshaft, but if the engine doesn't breathe any better, the column of air moving from the carburetor to the tailpipe doesn't improve in any way, it doesn't matter what camshaft you put in it, it's only going to make X amount of horsepower. So you have to improve the flow path. We got anybody commenting on the poll?
So we got 84% say no, 16% say yes right now.
All right. So the guys that think yes, it does hurt the torque, why do you think that? And then we're going to ask the guys after that that don't think it hurts torque, why do they think that? So not trying to put anybody on the spot. I just want to get everybody's ideas and opinions on what's going on and how, you know, what you guys think happens whenever you port cylinder heads. So so when you port a cylinder head, it's more than just going in there and taking a die grinder and hogging that thing out. You know I did that to our Ram Air 4 heads and made my ports really big, but basically what you got to do is you have to start with a plan, and that plan has to...
Yeah, my plan is to make it bigger.
Yeah, but why?
So I get more air through it.
Oh, but how?
I don't care about that. I just need to make it bigger.
Yeah. But you only got so much to work with. You got to realize your cylinder bore's small. So what about your intake valve?
Oh, I just have to get a bigger one.
Well, what if you can't?
That's why I always start with the intake. Let's be real, Dad. You start with the intake, all right, guys, and you port that thing as big as you can. And if you blow through, get a bunch of these cans, and these make great runners. And then
they're thin, lightweight.
Then you put them right to your head, all right, and then you just draw a magic marker, a circle, and you just hog that son-of-a out, all right.
Well, believe it or not, let's see. Yeah, that was bigger.
Yeah,
that's the size of a Ram Air 5 port.
Beautiful. Ram Air 4, Ram Air 5, it's all the same to me.
This is probably our new Ram Air 4 port. That's a Ram Air 5 port.
Oh, see, we need to put a Ram Air 4 on steroids.
Yeah, well, I made the head so we can do that. So, so what are we getting here for comments? Let me see what we're...
Well, let me end this poll. That was for 10 minutes. It seemed like everyone was done.
Okay.
And let's go back here.
I don't have my glasses, so I'm relying on you for my eyeballs.
So John Monin says, not if you keep the valve thought ratio reasonable. Valve to thought. What would he be replacing with thought? Valve to thought ratio.
Valve to throat?
Maybe throat, yep.
Yeah.
And then we had Walt say it will kill torque unless that port throat and all port velocities are matched to street say 6,000 RPM. Street RPM say 6,000. And Joe Bass says better 60-foot, slower mile per hour. And Philip III says, I'd like to have the Ram Air 5 in the medium-sized port because the small ports won't be enough, and I know I can always go bigger. And then
My street strip port for the Ram Air 5 is really good port.
And then DJ said, I think too much exhaust porting hurts back pressure.
Yeah, there's no such thing. We don't want no back pressure.
And Philip Thursday, the plan is go fast, and I work backwards from there.
You sound like my son.
Perfect.
Let's just make it big, and we'll figure it out from there.
That's right. You can't go wrong.
Oh, boy.
If it's already big, you can throw more fuel in it.
Yeah, they're just going to have a turd. We don't want a turd.
John Mona says, I can't spell. Neither can I, John, so don't feel bad. Hell, I can't even talk.
Yeah, right?
Or read. And then Walt Bain says, just add boost. I agree with that 100%.
That covers up everything.
Yep.
You could have a hole this big, and you put boost with it, and it's going to go.
Yep.
But yeah, no. So anyhow, the thought process is just like a hose nozzle. Okay, remember them old hose nozzles that they put? We used to, when we were kids, we used to open them things up and blast water up our nose and blow our eyelids off whenever you opened it up, because if we turned it on high pressure side, and it was pointed like kind of a cone, and you unscrewed it. And we never thought about unscrewing it when it was pointing at the ground. We always looked into it and unscrewed that thing. Well, that's what velocity is, okay? And the reason you have velocity is because you got a hose that big around, and you're squeezing all that port through a little hole like that at the end of that nozzle. Well, same thing with cylinder heads. If you have the right taper from the carburetor to the valve, and you want your valve to be the smallest area. You don't want your smallest area at the push rod. You don't want it at the intake port. You don't want it at the plenum. You want it at the valve, okay? So you want the smallest area at the valve so you can create the highest coefficient, okay? Discharge, I should say discharge coefficient. So in other words, what's going to happen is you're going to have a tapered column that comes down to the valve, which is going to be the smallest point in your line of, we'll call it line of sight, or your port. And what that does is it creates that funneling effect, and it has a high discharge coefficient.
So what do they call that on a rocket? Is that a Venturi? Or Ventura? Or
well, in a carburetor, it's a Venturi, and on a rocket, it's a booster.
So it's like a booster then.
Yeah.
Because you're pinching it down.
Yep.
And
you're
then
creating a velocity.
Energy.
And so you're taking the air, and it's kind of moving slow up here, but as it gets closer to the valve, it starts speeding up. And when that happens, it's going to fill the cylinder faster, and it's going to make more power. Now, what happens, unfortunately, with a factory cylinder head, the pushrod bulge is usually your smallest cross-sectional area before you get to the valve.
Speak for yourself.
And that is not a good thing, because then what happens is you got a high velocity area here and your valve's down here. So you can work with that, and if you know how to port the cylinder head and match your valve throat and everything to it, you can actually make that work pretty good, because look at the super stockers. Them guys are doing it. They have to use factory heads, and they're making pretty big power, and they're only allowed to go so big on the CCs on the port. So they're not able to get rid of that and make a wide port out of it. So they've mastered the art of creating the right amount of taper and velocity at that pushrod bulge to match the valve seat area. And it's a little more complicated than that, but that's basically what's going on. I'm trying to simplify it so it doesn't get too muddy and too hard to understand. So with that being said, if you have the correct amount of area at the intake plenum and the correct amount of area underneath the valve at the valve throat, kind of like what John Monin was saying, and you match those and the taper's right, it is not going to hurt torque in the engine. As a matter of fact, it's going to make more torque. And it's going to create more velocity. It's going to fill the cylinder at a lower RPM and continue to hold that clear up through the RPM range that the cross-sectional area of the port and the valve will sustain for the cubic inch and RPM range you're going to run. I know that was a mouthful, but...
So you lost me at bulge.
Of course I did. So, how can I say this?
John Monin said it's Bernoulli's. I told you I can't read. Equation. It's complicated engineering stuff. I can't explain it without several engineering classes. Science stuff.
I like to just, you know what? It's KISS. Keep it simple, stupid. So, and you're right. It's the Bernoulli effect. And so, and he's kind of, if you look in the textbooks, he explains what I described to you guys in abbreviated manner and a very in-depth manner. But honestly, it's boring as hell, and I don't read it. So,
yeah,
you know, I understand it. I just don't read it, and I don't care. All I know is that if I get my taper rate and I got my valve coefficient rate, I'm going to make horsepower, and that's what I know.
I just care about the horsepower. So,
and he knows that Dad's going to build horsepower, and he gets to go in there and flog it.
Yeah. Duh. What else do I need? I take all the boring stuff and I just go.
Hey, speaking of, you know what? We got our crank fixed, and you can't even tell. This guy is this guy's a master. Believe it or not, he's 80. I think he's 87, or no, he's 83 years old, and still welding crankshafts, grinding them, and straightening them. I mean, this crankshaft, you can't tell. The only reason that you can tell is because where
we know.
Well, yeah, we know. Is where he welded up that journal, that throw or the outside part of that throw right there turned purple. If he would have sprayed it with that anti-purple on there, I would never be able to tell which journal he fixed.
Yep.
So I mean, he did a fantastic job on fixing that crank, and he straightened it within a quarter of a thou. I mean, which is pretty freaking amazing.
Yep. Old school twist is right. Dad build, Brandon break. Yep. And then DJ's right too. Then repeat.
No more rinse and repeat. What we're going to do is we're going to repeat, all right. We're going to repeat running faster and faster going down the track.
Well, yeah.
Not repeating the blowing up part.
Oh, now you just take the fun out of it.
Yeah. Unless you do start a GoFundMe fan club, because I'm not keep paying for this. It costs too much money. So anyways, we got the crank fixed. I got rods from Joe Bass, and I think Perry's sending me a connecting rod also.
Awesome. And
which is pretty cool. And then I got a new piston from DSS, and I got another little surprise for you guys. I got a new cam I had ground up because I wasn't happy with the cam that was in the engine. It worked, and it's a great cam, and it's good for bracket racing and making, 550, 600, maybe even 650 horsepower. But I'm wanting to take this engine to the next level, so I'm hoping we can get this thing over 700. So I had another cam ground that I designed.
I hope it can go over 7,000 RPM.
Well, that might happen too.
Because the higher the RPM, that motor just sounds so pretty.
Yeah, until it don't. Then we have frame art.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's pretty too.
No, it ain't pretty. All I see is when I see a connecting rod stuck in that frame is money. All I can see is dollar signs.
Well, I mean, yeah, but
Yeah.
you just gotta know that's cool.
Oh, yeah. Well, you know what? These are stories we're going to be telling when we're old men. So
Oh yeah, absolutely.
whenever you hear those old guys at the bar saying, yeah, my dad, he blew up an engine so bad he put a connecting rod right through the frame. That's going to be my son.
Yep. And I'll be saying proud as punch. And then everyone will be like, oh, bullshit. And I'll be like, I got a picture somewhere, and I'll put my glasses on and I'll look for it.
Pull up your picture on your phone, and then you'll be in there. But yeah, so anyhow, we got our pieces parts. But anyhow, back to the cylinder head porting. So yes, everybody needs to have their heads ported if they want to make more power.
So what would you consider porting though? Is porting like you actually removing more than 5,000 material?
So that's kind of what we need to discuss too. So that's a good topic to bring up. So how much porting do you want to do, and how much porting should you do? So it depends on the cylinder head. Like a factory cylinder head, you can do like I did to our Ram Air 4 head and max that thing out, fill it full of putty, and now I'm going to have to epoxy them and blah, 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 blah. But anyway, you can do that, which if you're going to go to that level, honestly, you probably should use an aftermarket aluminum head.
Like DCI Motorsports Ram Air 4?
Like the DCI Motorsports Ram Air 3 or Ram Air 4 or Ram Air 5s.
Yep.
So it depends on what power level you want to go to. And I don't know if Jude Schnabel's on here tonight, but I hope he is, because nobody believes me when I tell him that he made almost 1,000 horsepower on pump gas, and with his Ram Air 5 deal. And Jude's, whenever he first come to me, he's a tough cookie. I tell you what, he's a New Yorker, and anybody knows New Yorkers knows how they are.
What are you talking about?
Not picking on you, Judes, but anyway, those guys are direct.
Kick his ass.
They're direct. And so anyhow, he told me, he says he was not happy with the cylinder head that he had purchased from another company. But anyways, and that my heads better do what I said they would do. And I told him, I said, you should be able to make 800 horsepower. So he actually made 800 horsepower like almost immediately, and was blown away that it was easy. That it was that easy. So anyways, if you want to make big horsepower, you need to have a big port, and you have to have a lot of velocity, and you have to have the right valve positioning, the right line of sight. There's a lot goes into it, guys, is what I'm getting at. So, but back to the porting, how much you need to port. So if you're doing like a mostly street-driven car, you don't need to go and max out your porting. You don't need to have a race port job on a weekend warrior or a weekend cruiser, or even a partial daily driver. Some guys drive these things daily. And if they do, then you know what I recommend personally, the biggest bang for the buck, what I offer is what we call our street strip porting. And what that is it's a little bit above doing a bowl cleanup and a gasket match. We're doing both of those things too, but we're opening the bowl up a little bit bigger, and we're putting a different valve job on it to match the bowl, and we're making sure that the taper from the push rod to the bowl is the proper taper so that the engine makes good torque. And then if you want to go one step further, and you want to make, say, 650 horsepower with a factory iron head, then you need our race porting is what I call it. And there really isn't any.
And these are cast iron heads?
Yeah.
Okay.
And this isn't, and it isn't really any set kind of porting, because every head casting is different. Unfortunately, the factory head castings are all over the place.
Yeah, but is there a certain amount, like, would you say, like, are you removing like an eighth of an inch, or are you removing like
Well, so I can give you a visual. The big thing is like a factory intake port on a Ram Air, we'll say a regular D-port head. Regular D-port opening is like 2 150 by 120 at the widest point, but at the pushrod bulge, it's only like, it's under an inch. It's like 0.890 or 900 thousandths, just under an inch at the pushrod bulge. So technically, that's what you have to use for your cross-sectional area. So 0.9, and how you determine cross-sectional area, on a square, it's easy. And I'll tell you how to do it on a circle too. But anyhow, on a square, it's easy. You take the height times the width, that's your cross-sectional area. So if you have 2.150 times 0.900, that is your cross-sectional area. Now, whenever you do a circle, you take the circle, you divide it by 2, multiply it by, multiply it by itself, So whatever the half of that is times pi, that gives you a cross-sectional area of a circle.
So
And you know what? You're going to have to get your shoes off too.
I just go with you can get a good look at a T-bone by sticking your head up a bull's ass, but I'd rather take the butcher's word for it.
So, yeah, I'm the butcher, I guess.
Yep.
So, yeah, you just have to take my word for it. And I'll figure all that out for you. You don't have to do all the math. But anyways, so now if I was going to do a bracket car, I would probably do the street strip porting. Still, even though I recommend that for the street cars too, because that is a good bang for the buck. Porting's expensive, because you think about it, labor rate now is stupid high, and it takes a lot of time. I see a couple of guys on Facebook, trying to get these people to understand that are paying for their porting on their intake manifolds and cylinder heads, why it costs so much money. Well, you're paying for time. And not only are you paying for time, you're paying for knowledge too. Believe it or not, even though that guy's time is like, say, 10 hours, if you try to do it yourself, it'd be 25 or 30 hours. So you could do it yourself. You don't have to pay the hourly rate, but what if you screw it up? Or what if you don't get it right? Now you just wasted a lot of time. And if you work a job, what kind of money you make working 30 hours that you're playing with that cylinder head? And you could pay a professional head porter 15, 20 hours, and he's going to get it right. So everything's tit-or-tat.
Randy French wants to know, what is the difference between porting stock cast heads and aluminum heads? And also, to follow up with that question, I want to know, when you get a set of just regular Edelbrock heads, we'll say, are they bigger from that cast from Edelbrock than the factory heads?
Yes, they are. The bowl areas are bigger, but the intake opening is the same as a Ram Air 4. It actually uses a Felpro 1233 gasket. I have my own intake gaskets made, which are basically like the Felpro 1233s, but instead of the like paper insert they put in there to block the heat crossover, I get metal ones made so they don't burn out like the Edelbrock gaskets do or the Felpro gaskets do. But so like I was just telling you, even factory castings, you can take two 1968 number 16 Pontiac 400 heads, and they're both going to be different. So they're never going to be the same. I don't know. It's just a casting thing. Castings are never. It's hard to duplicate a casting. That's why everybody says you want a CNC port ahead, or you want a CNC machine, your cylinder heads and intake manifolds, because then, no matter what, every one of them's exactly the same. And
but you're walking that fine line though when you're CNCing them, because you can't, like you said, if you, I don't know about aluminum heads with Edelbrock. I never ported any of those, so I don't know how bad the cores are. But doing a cast iron CNC port on that, you got to go conservative. So that way you can go in by hand then, and that way you know where you're going to be blowing through at.
Well, yeah, because an iron, that's the thing with an iron head. You don't know, because years of erosion from somebody not using antifreeze, the coolant might have eroded the backside of the port. I just experienced that personally with a set of 670 heads that we were trying to fix for a customer of ours right now. And anyhow, we were trying to get rid of the pits in the combustion chambers, and normally I can take out about 150 thousandths out of a combustion chamber, a factory cast iron combustion chamber, and be still plenty thick enough and not have any problems. Well, we started to take these chambers, and because they were pitted so bad, and we wanted to reduce the compression, and the valve seats were absolutely just toast, because these heads look like they've been laying in the ocean for the last 20 years. Anyways, to try to save them, we were going to machine the chamber floor out, which would bring back the valve seat for us and get rid of all the pits down there and open the chamber, reduce the compression. Because the iron heads, we like to set them up for 9.5 to 1. Anyhow, what happened was is we got into it about 80 thousandths and blew right through the port or chamber. And I've never ever had that happen before. So there's that thing where you can take two identical castings and you're not gonna be able to port them or machine them the same way because of unknown factors like how much coolant was run through that engine with just water. These cylinder heads obviously laid outside somewhere for a very long time, and they must have eroded from the inside as well as what we could see on the surface too. But to get back to Randy French, if you start with an iron head, because the port is much smaller than, like, say, an Edelbrock cylinder head, you obviously are not going to be able to, without a lot of effort, get the same CFM and port cross-sectional area with the iron head as you can with an aluminum head. And so, consequently, like when we do a street strip port on a iron head as opposed to the aluminum head, the cost is the same, but you get a bigger bang for the buck with the aluminum head because the port's already better, if that makes sense.
So essentially you're doing the same amount of work, but honestly it's less concentrated work because the ports are more consistent and they're already a better flow design.
And they're already pretty much nice and even where the factory stuff is all over the place. You could have a glob of casting flash inside of an intake port on a factory head or exhaust port too. It doesn't really matter. Where the sand fell down in there and it just made it glob up. So, and I've seen that a lot. We see it a lot in the intake manifolds too. Mm-hmm. So yeah, so it definitely, the cost is the same, but the benefits are better with an aluminum head as opposed to an iron head. Now, one thing I can tell you about with the Edelbrock cylinder heads, the intake ports are not all the same. And I don't know why. It just was a CAD flaw whenever they designed their intake ports. Two of the ports are really nice. Two of the ports are not. And so we have to, when we port them, we got to fix that.
Even the big guys mess up.
Well, it's just, whenever you're doing production parts, that's what happens.
Or those cylinder heads were made on Friday afternoon.
Well, they must all been made on Friday because they're all like that.
Well, they probably are. They pour and let them cool over the weekend.
Yeah, boy. So, what other questions we got here?
People want to know what kind of pie we're getting. And pies are not square, pies are round. The more pie, the better. Mark Timmer says, that's why we're with you, Don. You know what you're talking about, and I don't.
Well, I tried to know what I'm talking about. And I've been doing this a long, long time. So, I've learned the hard way doing a lot of things with my own stuff. So it's like my Ram Air 4 heads that I ported, and the port blew out on it. I wouldn't do that for a customer. I only do that for me because I don't know what the result's going to be, and I don't want the customer to experience what we experienced. My poor son felt like shit. I felt like shit because we were having a great weekend. The car was running great.
Yep.
And we were learning, and he was having fun, and he was going faster than he's ever gone. And then that happened. And so I know the deflation factor whenever you do that. So I try whatever I do for my customers, I have already experienced personally, and I don't want to share that experience with you guys. I mean, shit happens, and it can happen no matter what to anybody. It is what it is. But I try to keep that to like a 1% factor.
Yeah, because, I felt like shit because I blew the engine up.
Right.
And I know this shit's not cheap. And that's the thing, because, with me learning the car and learning how to drive an engine with that, shifting and everything, could have been from me over revving, could have been. Could have been from, other things, could have been. I don't know, but, you don't know until we tore it apart.
Well, the thing of it is, you don't know until you know. and you hear that saying all the time. You don't know what you don't know. And so he's still learning. He doesn't, I mean, he's felt cars. I've explained to him when we're taking a car out and I drive it and we get into it. I'll say, did you feel that nose over? And try to get him to get the feeling. Because you can tell when a car quits making power. It literally almost like you're pinned in your seat and then you start coming forward. You know, the G-force goes away. That's how you know the car's not pulling anymore. And I've done it so much, I can tell by listening to it. The tone of the engine changes, and when it changes, depending on where it changes at and how it changes, I can determine whether or not it's making more power or losing power.
The camera's shutting off so much earlier now.
I don't know. Maybe we need a new battery?
No, it's plugged in, hardwired. I think the camera's getting ready to go take a crap on me.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
That means we got to spend more money.
Yeah, and they're not cheap because I just looked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to figure out another solution. We're going to get one of them iPhones or something.
Yeah, then there'd be really good quality.
Hey, my phone did pretty good last week. But so you know what you have to experience it before you know what I'm talking about. It's kind of like, you know what, if you come to me for your first engine and you never had another engine built anywhere else, you don't know how good my engine runs compared to another builder, okay? But if you come to me after you've been to 2 engine builders before and you know how my engines run, then you know you got apples to apples to compare, and you know what you know now. You didn't know what you didn't know before. Now you know what you know.
Well, that, and then you have someone who's, yes, I've been down a track before, but 14 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
And then you get in something like that, considering that you haven't drag raced in like years, and then you just jump into a 10-second car. You got nerves, you got the track atmosphere, and you got, you know, all that. So like, there's 1,000,001 things going through your head.
Oh yeah.
So I was tickled to death. I mean, I thought, man, this is great. I mean, we made it all the way to Sunday.
Yeah. Yep. Before the port blew out.
Yep. So, I mean, I was like, the car's still running.
What was weird
I'm
was
going
that
faster.
it didn't smoke. You know, usually whenever a port starts to let go, it'll start smoking, and it stalled in the burnout box. And if I would have seen white smoke coming out of the exhaust, I would have ran up there and we're done.
Yep.
I would have had him shut it down before he blew it up. But it didn't do that.
No.
It fired back up, it cleared out, and it didn't sound right, but it wasn't. I just thought maybe the carburetor was flooding. I didn't know for sure
that's
what
what I
was
thought
going
too.
on. There was no white smoke from the coolant, which is bizarre to me. I don't get it.
Yeah.
And
And I mean, it did take a minute for it to start back up. That's why when it did start back up, I was like, oh, the carburetor needs cleaned out. So I tried cleaning it out. It got a little bit better,
right.
but it wasn't 100% like it was before. But I thought, well, I'm already here, and they're already waiting on me to try to start the car. I need to get up to the staging lane, or stage the car at least.
Yeah, we learned a lot.
Yeah.
You know, we learned a lot.
And I
that's
also
how you
learned
learn.
I cannot foot brake the trans brake. I am not that good. I was all over the place with it. I need to hold that button and just floor it.
Yeah. That's hard to do. Taking your foot off the brake pedal, that's hard to do. When
Well,
you got your foot on the floorboard.
Yeah, that part's hard too.
Yeah.
It goes against everything that your normal driving. I tried that the other morning, and the guy in front of me didn't like it so much.
Well, that's probably because he couldn't even see your headlights anymore.
No, they were in his back seat.
Yeah. Yeah. So, but yeah.
And yes, Philip, sir, we will be putting a diaper on it. Because I don't
think, unless that's a ballistic diaper, it wouldn't have contained it.
Yeah, that's true. I don't think it would have held that back.
No. I mean, if you can penetrate, I mean, what's a steel frame? I mean, them things have to be at least 125 thousandths thick or more.
Yeah.
And that's an 1/8-inch plate it shot through.
And it made it look easy.
Oh, yeah. I mean, there's a big old hole in the frame. That's amazing. What's amazing is it came out and didn't hurt the block. It just shot through the oil pan.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
That's what makes me think that maybe I did have it flooded, and maybe it cracked it a little bit at the starting line. But I think the damage, I think it happened right there. And thank God it was up to 7,000 RPM because it just shut it off ASAP.
Well, it broke the rod. It probably wedged against the crank, which I'm amazed that it didn't show any damage inside the block. I mean, a little nick at the bottom of the cylinder. That's
Yeah.
it.
Yep.
That's crazy. I've never seen an engine blow up like that and not hurt the cylinder wall.
And it wasn't. I expected a lot more sound for what it did. Honest to God, I did not think in a million years that I blew a rod out the bottom. It sounded like a backfire.
It just shut off.
It just went pop and just boom. That was it. And I was like, huh. And then I looked and I seen all the white smoke, and I'm like, well, that's water. That ain't oil. And I was like, so cylinder head must have gave out.
Well, that's what happens when you max port them.
And then when I finally got out and I look underneath and I just see oil just dripping everywhere, and I go, huh. And then the guy's like, yep, you're done.
Yeah. Once you leave the smoke out of the engine, you're done.
So I honestly, I did not think it was a very quiet engine blow up, in my opinion.
Well, they usually don't make a lot of noise. Everybody thinks they make all this noise, but really all they do is they go.
Honestly, it didn't even do that. It was so fast that.
Well, that's because that cylinder is full of water, and that's what you heard pop. It literally shot that thing just like a them cork guns that you take and you push the piston and it makes that pop sound. That's exactly what happened.
Yeah.
That's exactly what happened.
Shot the.
But it was compressing fluid, and you can't compress fluid.
No.
That tells you the torque that engine was making because
Yeah.
it compressed the fluid, and then it shot that thing right.
Well, it compressed the rod.
Yeah. It shot
one
out.
rod out one side and the other half on the other side.
Yeah.
Which is cool.
Well, we found the rod cap on the frame, which is really weird.
Literally sitting on top of the steering linkage. The sway bar, I mean.
So that means that was connected to the crankshaft. It broke at the piston. Had to come I can't even fathom how that
That
happened.
crankshaft had to make at least one more revolution with the cap off, though.
No.
Because it went out both sides of the pan.
I think that it just literally, when it came down, it just shot it out of there because it was, it was under so much pressure. What's amazing too is, what, them DSS pistons are a freaking amazing piston, because that piston, we can't reuse it, but it ain't damaged that bad.
No. Nope. And I'm trying to remember how much rod was left connected to the piston.
About that much.
Yeah. So, I mean, it took a hell of a hit.
That's just nuts. I just don't get it.
I think you need a GoPro under the car for the next time. Absolutely. I'd like to put GoPros all over that car.
Well, yeah, let's hope we don't blow any more.
I'm just afraid that I might lose a GoPro on the track, and then I won't get it back.
Yeah, run it over.
Because they took my tiger tail.
Yeah, they did. Well, that guy was kind of a prick. Yeah, but he made my son he just bought one of them Tony Tiger Tails. His wife did. And they had it on the car. And
like everybody else does.
Yeah, like everybody else does. And it blew up, and he says, "You're going to owe me." And he made my son give him the Tiger Tail.
Yep. So I can only imagine if I had a GoPro, I would have fought him for that. Then my dad would have to get one of the GoPros off the car to film it, because I've been wrestling.
What? It made good YouTube content.
Yes, it would.
Yeah. So what other questions we got here?
Steve Morris shattered in all 8 aluminum connecting rods and personal SMX wagon engine a few years back.
Yeah, that was a defective part, though.
And then we have a couple of comments up here. Does the same apply for intakes? Randy French wants to know.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So whenever you have to port your head, you have to port the intake. And so, like, what we're doing for you, Randy, is, we're using a factory cast iron intake, and I just ported your intake a couple days ago, actually, and that to match your cylinder heads so that it'll match the combination. So, yeah, you definitely have to port the intake manifold to complement the cylinder heads.
And then I thought there was more. Okay, so Robert Rio has his original 16 heads on his workbench and disassembling them. Was thinking of having ported, but will probably go aluminum. Also, have 670s on his current motor.
Yeah, I mean, you know what? For as much as it costs to port cylinder heads today, honestly, you're better off buying an aftermarket aluminum head. Yeah, it's more money to buy the aluminum cylinder head, but you have a lot more real estate, a lot more consistent port design, and it's already better to begin with. You know, like my new D port and round port we're coming out with, it already flows roughly 100 more CFM than a factory head. So you're already starting out with pretty much a ported head, and then if you want to make it better, you can port it and go even bigger and better.
And then Tom Bopp wants to know, will we be dressing up in costume for the show on the Wednesday before Halloween? Well, I don't know if you guys know it or not, but my dad dresses up every Wednesday. He does his hair. That's why we call him Don Johnson.
Yeah.
Or as Salvatore calls you, Foos!
Yeah. My buddy Sammy, we'll be in a crowd somewhere, and he'll be standing way behind me. He'll be yelling, Foos! Foos!
Yep.
That goofball. I don't even look like Foos.
Oh, it don't matter with Sam.
Right.
BNR Racing asks, what target intake port velocities are you shooting for Pontiac V8? Same as the Chevy guys, or do 200 to 250 feet per second?
You know, it all depends on the cubic inch and the RPM range and what the horsepower goal is. So, you know, like if we want a 7,000 RPM engine as opposed to a 5,000 RPM engine, the feet per second is going to change radically. You know, like a 5,000 RPM engine, we're going to want somewhere close to 300 feet per second. With a 7,000 RPM, we're only going to want somewhere around 200 feet per second. And the reason is because at that higher RPM, it's going to be moving at 300 feet per second, which that is kind of why people think that they're going to lose torque whenever you port the cylinder head for the higher RPM. So we didn't discuss that. That's a good point. So porting cylinder heads is not going to hurt your torque. Making the port bigger is going to hurt your torque if it's not designed properly and you don't have the head designed for the RPM range or the cubic inch of the engine.
Cool.
That was awesome. So yes, it's not a one size fits all. You know, it's not like a schmedium. Everybody wears a schmedium. What we have is we got, you know, for a low RPM deal, we want to have a higher feet per second. For a higher RPM deal, we want a slower because at higher RPM, it's going to match the lower RPM engine's feet per second. If that makes sense.
So to slow it down, do you make the intake bigger then?
Yes, we have to make the port bigger. And when you do that, of course, you can cram more air in it, but at a higher RPM.
And John Monin asked, if you put hardened valve seats and iron heads, do you risk hitting a water jacket?
Yeah, you can definitely hit water with a factory iron head. I don't recommend putting any hardened seats in a Pontiac head. None of them. Not the old ones, not the new ones. Pontiac, a lot of guys don't realize they used a lot of nickel in their cast iron, and they don't need a hardened valve seat like a Chevy or Ford does. Chevy and Ford, they mass produced so many more of them. They used, I don't want to call it junk iron, but they used a cheaper alloy because they produced so many of them. And because of that, it's a softer alloy. It doesn't have as much nickel in it, and it's not as hard. Pontiac cylinder heads, you can literally weld a Pontiac cylinder head. The Ford and the Chevy stuff, you can braze them. And if you get a really, really good welder, a guy that knows how to weld, they can weld them with, you know, a nickel rod or whatever. But Pontiacs are way easier to weld with a nickel rod and TIG welding, or you can MIG weld them too. I've MIG welded them before, and they turn out great. Same with the Pontiac block too. The Chevy blocks, Ford blocks, Chrysler heads, none of that stuff it doesn't have the same quality iron. But do not put hardened seats in a Pontiac head.
BNR Racing said he has seen super stock Chevy V8 guys, smartest Porter racers, are duplicating Pontiac V8 tiny intake ports, 175cc only, flowing 350 plus CFM, some airspeed.
Oh yeah, they got a lot of airspeed.
Oh, some airspeeds up to 350 to 400 per second.
Yeah, if you're flowing that kind of CFM with a 175cc port, your airspeed is way up there.
And then Robert wants to know what heads are better stock, 670s with closed chambers or the 68 to 70 open chambers. I always heard the open chambers were.
Well, you know what? There's so many of your old timers. They remember all the hot rod articles and they're the old drag racers that used to like the old Super Duty heads and the 670 castings with the closed chamber, and that was their go-to. And they swore by that because they didn't understand the new open chamber concept and the different valve angle. Although the 670 head has a 14-degree valve angle, as opposed to like the earlier heads that only have a 17-degree valve angle. But anyways, the open chamber with a 14-degree valve angle is way better, in my opinion, than a 670 with a closed chamber, unless you modify the chamber. And if you modify the chamber to complement the valve angle, which we do all the time with our 670 stuff, then the 670 head's a little better. So that was a little bit complicated answer, but that's where we're at with that.
BNR Racing said he asked about that 10 minutes ago, so I got to that question. And then John Monin says his car is a tiger tail free zone. Other tails acceptable. What, like
you know what kind of tail?
Like I don't know, like a horse's tail?
The ones that wear a G-string.
Oh, well, I don't think you want those hanging off your trunk.
I've seen a guy. He had a G-string hanging off his mirror.
Well, yeah, that's different.
Yeah. Matter of fact, I think that I don't know if Skip's on here tonight, but Skip Polson, I think he has one hanging on his mirror in his GTO.
Richard Hunter says 455 stock crank or 440.
I'm not really sure if I'm following what he's asking. So
Let me see
the
if he
455 crank has a 421 stroke, and the 428, which 60 over a 440, has a 4-inch stroke. So
Maybe he's asking to stroke it or go with a 455 stock crank.
well, obviously, the more cubic inch, the better. And 4210, actually a 4250 stroker crank is what I would probably run. Just make sure you have enough cylinder head to feed the RPM range that you want to run that thing at. So I'll tell you guys another story. The reason I invented the Tiger head or designed the Tiger head is because the Ram Air 4 head that's on my son and I's engine right now, I ran on a 455 for years, and I made 727 horsepower of that head, okay, with a factory stock 455 bottom end. And when I say factory stock, I'm talking about a factory cast crank with a 4210 stroke, a factory cast connecting rod with ARP rod bolts, and a TRW forged piston in it. and I didn't use any trick parts. So anyhow, I got the bright idea because back then everybody was doing it, and I didn't know what I didn't know, kind of like we were talking about earlier. I put a 4.5-inch stroke crank in my engine with a good set of Eagle forged rods and Ross Lightweight pistons. Use the exact same camshaft, exact same cylinder head, intake manifold, everything was the same. The engine would not rev past 5,500 RPM. Before I put the 4.5-inch arm in it, I was spinning that thing to 7,000 RPM all the time. I couldn't get it to go over 5,500 RPM. And the lesson I learned is that I didn't have enough port volume to support the extra piston speed that I had from the extra quarter inch. Well, actually, it was over a quarter inch. It was almost 300 thousandths more stroke. And because of that, the car actually slowed down. I went from running with my 455. Now, keep in mind, I had a stock suspension, almost 3,700 pound Grand Prix, and and it wasn't hooking right. I was running on a 10-inch wide tire. The car ran a lot of mile an hour, but it didn't ET real well. It ran like 1020s at 136 mile an hour. When I put the 4.5-inch arm in that same engine combination, no other changes. I kept the heads and cam and blah, blah, blah. The car slowed down. I couldn't get it to run faster than like a 1070, 1080. And the mile an hour dropped to like 123 or 124 mile an hour. So it literally killed my engine putting that big arm in it. And then I determined, okay, why is this happening? And so me being the way I am, I can't leave anything go. I got to figure it out. I determined that the port volume wasn't big enough. And hence the Tiger Head was born. And then once we had the Tiger Head, then we could spin a 4.5-inch arm to 7,200 RPM.
Some guys were doing higher than that, weren't they?
Well, there's a lot of them. There's a lot of guys running 9,500 RPM with that head.
Well, I mean, but with that setup.
I don't honestly.
No, because I thought you had a few customers that were like 75, 77.
Well, there's a bunch of guys running Tiger Heads in the 76 to 8,000 RPM range. And now with the Raymer 5 head, we really, the head's been out for a while now. It's been out to about 9 years, I guess. But the thing of it is, it takes so long for people to get their combos together, and life gets in the way.
Well, things are more expensive.
Well, life just gets in the way. It didn't, even back then, when I did the Tiger Head, it took like 8 or 9 years for anybody to make any power with that head. And just now, we're starting to get, Chris Urachko did an engine for Vince Rash, made 1,140 horsepower, and Vince backed it up on Steve Morris's dyno. So it's a legit number. It made 1,140 horsepower. And grab me one, please. And on top of it, Chris detuned that engine because Vince wants to do the drag and drive thing. So he made it so he could cruise. Thank you, sir. He could cruise on pump gas, 93 octane, and then whenever he goes to the racetrack, he's got, of course, put race fuel in it because he doesn't want to blow it up, or hurt the engine. So anyway, 1,140 horsepower. Now, guys, everybody thinks that, oh my God, with that much cylinder head and blah blah blah, it's going to make 1,300 horsepower. Chris Urachko said it best. He goes, I got 632-inch Chevy engines with the best cylinder heads not making that kind of power. And Vince's engine is like 550 cubic inches. And so that's a pretty phenomenal feat what he did with a Pontiac platform. Because we don't have the bore spacing, we don't have none of the stuff that the Chevy guys have. No canted valves. Other than that, we can use same cam profiles. We can design an intake manifold. The push rod length is a little bit of a problem. Although the 632-inch Chevy stuff, they got long push rods in those too. They're over 10 inches. So there's a lot of similarities. And that Pontiac engine made damn good power for what it was. If Vince wouldn't have put the reins on that deal, it probably would have got closer to 1,240 horsepower.
So I seen earlier someone made the comment. I can't remember who it was now. But speaking of drag and drive, somebody was at the track and seen the Canadian Chuck Norris in Tennessee.
Oh, yeah. You know what? Richard Guido, we had him on the show.
Yep.
and he is a badass. He's an Iron Man. I tell you what, that guy.
Oh, here he is. It was Holdner's Garage. And he said, saw Chuck Norris at his local track yesterday outside of Nashville, Tennessee. He had a front brake issue on his first pass, but he still ran a 585 at 129 mile an hour on a slick track.
Yeah, and he put a flat spot on the tire. I think the tire blew out. But anyway, he drives that car. I think he's put like, I want to say 20,000+ miles on that car.
Well, he drives it from Canada down to Florida.
Yeah.
Once a year.
Yeah, he's got pictures of it in the snow. So don't tell me Pontiac engines cannot do what Chevy engines do. You guys, you know what? Not you guys, but people that tell me that the Pontiac engine's limited and we can't. You know what? Bullshit. We can. You just have to have the budget and determination to do it. The reason that we can't is because we tell ourselves we can't.
Well, I think it's more accessible now than it was back in the 80s because of technology.
Well,
It
we
just-
have better cylinder heads now.
Yep.
There's no doubt. But, and the other part of the equation is, too, now everybody's experimenting with forced induction, turbochargers and superchargers. And that makes a huge difference because the engine doesn't know if it's a Pontiac, a Chevy, Ford, Chrysler, Austin Healey, or a Briggs & Stratton. It don't know. All it knows is what it's being fed. And if it's got a big enough port and it's got enough force going through it, it's going to make horsepower.
BNR Racing said, off topic, Don, remember my buddy's jumping jack flash dragster?
Yep.
He sold it turnkey before he raced it himself.
Oh, man,
It's
that's
in
a
Ohio
bummer.
racing by you.
No kidding. I wonder if my buddy Steve Heathman bought that. Do you know who bought it, Brian? Because I got a buddy that lives not too far from here, and he's into them kind of dragsters, and he might have bought that. His name's Steve Heathman. I don't know if Steve's watching tonight. He might be watching.
He said,
the
guess
show.
what? That home-built nostalgia dragster rail is running in the quarter mile.
Awesome. It's too bad he didn't get to take that to the track and live his dream. That was he put a lot of love in that thing. I wish he could have got it to the track.
And then Philip III, the famed astronaut Buzz Aldrin once said, we went to the moon because we didn't know we couldn't.
That's right. That's exactly right.
Then BNR Racing said, I had to ask Jeff, it's still the same paint scheme. Well, we got to find him and then see if he'll drive it on the road.
Well, yeah, like Rick Undersay does.
And then BNR Racing says, way faster than we both predicted.
Huh, nice. I love it. That's a small block, too.
Oh, it's a Chevy?
Yeah, small block Chevy with stack injection.
Nice.
It's pretty cool. It's a badass.
I
hot
love
ride.
home-built nostalgia front engine dragsters.
I love front engine dragsters too, but man, I tell you what, you ever watch videos of those guys going down the track? They had to wear the mask with the respirator because you don't realize how much oil comes off your engine under full throttle. Everybody says, "Oh, my engine's using oil because it's you didn't do the rings right." No. It spits oil out of the valve covers because of windage inside the engine. And unless you have a system that captures that, it's going to blow out. It's just nothing you can do about it.
He said it runs high eights in the Ohio quarter mile on gasoline.
Nice. Well, you know what? I wonder, are they running it, where are they running at? Dragway 42? Because if it is, it's a real good possibility. It's my buddy Steve.
And then Richard Undersay said, they told me I couldn't get a 301 to run 12s, and he went a 1214.
There you go.
And
Yep.
you know what?
I love it when somebody tells me I can't do something.
Yep.
Now don't get no ideas, guys, because I cannot.
You
build,
won't give a set of heads away for free.
No, it's not that. I can't build a 10,000 RPM, 5,000 horsepower Pontiac engine without the right budget. I can do it. Just give me the budget.
You won't do it without a budget.
You hear him?
And BNR Racing said it's only 311 cubic inches.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
It's running the Vertex Magneto. I built Jeff, so he made a
Don't get zapped by one of them suckers. Whew.
I was gonna say he
That'll
made
hurt
the
ya.
what's the word I'm looking for? The
I don't know.
ignition system for it. Then, huh?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. You know what a Vertex magneto is?
Nope.
It's a mini generator, and it generates. I don't know for sure what the voltage is. Brian will be able to tell me better than, but I think it generates like 80,000 volts. It's crazy amount of voltage.
Does it light up blue when it works?
It will make a spark this long.
We need to put a glass window on that. There's an idea. Put a glass window on it, and then you can call it your time flux capacitor.
Yeah, that you can weld with one of those.
I told Jeff we missed out on making hundreds of cool videos. Oh yeah. With the dragster alone.
Yeah, no doubt. You guys, I don't know if you know it or not, but I have a dragster.
Yeah,
It's not front
he
engine.
won't let me drive it.
It's not front engine. It's old school though. It's real old school. It's still got the spoke front wheels on it, but it's not front engine. It's rear engine, and it's not NHRA legal anymore. But
But
the
it's
reason I bought
street legal.
it could be.
Oh, camera again.
The reason I bought it was because I bought it to use it on my chassis dyno, and so it was easy to get engines in and out of instead of just putting it on a run stand. Then I can put it on my chassis dyno and dyno the engine, give us rear wheel horsepower, if nothing else, until I get my engine dyno up and running. But that's what I bought it for, and but I've yet to use it for that. And I was going to cut it down and just make it like a real short frame section, but because it's so cool, I don't think I'm going to do that.
Oh yeah, hell no. That needs to be hung up in the barn above the ceiling whenever you get your office and everything.
Yeah, that would be cool.
The spoke wheels are not legal anymore. Philip III said.
Yeah, I didn't think so.
And then Old School Twist said he got zapped by a Protonics with a 60K volt coil and his arm was numb for a while. And BNR Racing said typically 60,000 volts stock. Hot ones put 2 amps primary correct.
Ooh.
Believe a half amp at spark plugs. A Vertex Magneto, a hot one.
It will literally make a spark that long.
Those race ignitions will kill you.
Yeah, it can. It can literally kill you.
BNR Racing said they can approach 100,000 volts spun to 10,000 RPMs.
Yeah, I knew it was up there. I didn't know it was 100. I thought it was 80, but yeah, it can make a lot of. It's a generator. That's all it is, and with an amplifier. Whew. But yeah, I got zapped by an MSD box one time, and it was only a 6AL. I got my elbow too close to the coil wire because I had the coil wire out of the coil or out of the distributor cap, and it was laying up on the firewall. And I was doing something. I don't remember what I was doing, but I wanted to crank the engine over so that we could figure out something. I don't remember what it was. Maybe it was valve lash or something. Anyhow, I put my elbow down by that coil wire, and my pointer finger was right by the valve cover, and it zapped right through my arm into that valve cover, and my arm was numb for about a week.
And he had cool hairdo.
My butthole puckered too.
He said it's alternating current.
Yeah. Which
Any
is
magneto.
dangerous. Well, no, DC is more dangerous than alternating.
MSD is a DC voltage.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, DC
Because
is more dangerous.
It's not the same for house.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. That's why they have AC for house. DC's too dangerous.
Well, DC is uncontrolled though, right?
Well, no, direct current, that whenever you get zapped with that, there's only one way in and one way out.
Yeah. Alternating current wants to find a weakest point.
Yeah, it's not good when you get hit with DC.
12 DC is not bad.
Yeah.
Unless you're Luke and then he runs.
Well, unless you had a Yugo. I don't know if you guys remember, Yugos were killing people back in the day because they had the only option a Yugo had was a rear window defogger, and they broke down so much the guys were pushing them things, and if you left the key on, it literally would kill people because it would zap them through the rear glass.
Yeah, but that's amplified though. That ain't just 12 volts.
Well, it's DC.
Yeah. I'm talking about just putting my nipples on each side of the battery post.
Yeah, well,
that ain't gonna kill you. That
we're
just
gonna try
tickles.
that one night. You know what?
I just tried it I had to put a starter in my truck over the weekend. The old saying is, it's not the volts, it's the amps.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's the driver. Whatever drives it.
So, well, we've been live for an hour 20 now.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay, guys. Sorry we went over so late. But, no, we were having fun.
Yep.
But thank you guys for coming and hanging out with us again. And make sure and share and subscribe if you haven't already. And hit that like button so we help our algorithm.
Yep. And then don't forget, for the ones that just joined later on, Johnston, or www.johnstonfabohio.com.
For your t-shirt.
For the t-shirts for DCI Motorsports Unleashed. There's a tab for it. And then I don't know if she has my shirt on there yet or not, but there's a Big Johnston Garage tab as well. And if there's a t-shirt there, that's my t-shirt that I have for my YouTube channel.
So some of you guys don't know, he started his own channel, and it's called Big Johnston's Garage. Is it Big Johnston's or Johnston?
Big Johnston.
Okay, Big Johnston Garage.
It was it's a pun, and it's a modeled after a shirt that I always wanted as a kid, and my mom wouldn't let me have.
Yeah, Big Johnson
Yeah.
t-shirts.
Yep.
With all the big titty girls.
Yep.
And,
My dad got to wear them. And my
Mom bought a ton of them for me. I had a whole bunch of them.
And my
I wanted to go.
uncles and everyone, yeah. But me, nope, not allowed to have one because I'm a little boy. I'm mom's sweet little angel.
Yeah, and you'd wear it to school and get kicked out.
And you don't need school.
Right.
Look how I turned out. I still didn't pay attention.
I know. Well, hey, it was fun tonight, guys. Appreciate you guys hanging out with us, and make sure and tell your friends so we can keep growing our audience. Last week, man, we had. Did you see how many views I got?
I seen right after you got off, it was like 1,500 views, like within like the first half hour.
That was crazy.
Yeah.
We've never had that before.
Nope.
So thank you guys. I don't even know why. Is that because I was doing it on my phone and alerted more people, or what?
Well, I don't know how many you had watching at one time. That was after you ended the live.
Yeah, well,
So it must have notified people after you got done.
yeah, I don't know. All I know is it was crazy high. So
Yep.
thank you for following, and our YouTube channel. We're on a quest to get to 10,000 subscribers
We're
this year.
almost 5,800.
Yeah, we're getting close, and so we're well on target. We can maybe do this.
Yep.
So
We still got 2 months.
yep,
Well, 2.5 months actually.
I'm gonna keep it going. All right, guys. Well, hey, I don't know what next week's topic will be, but we'll find something fun to talk about. And thank you guys for all hanging out and staying with us. I know we went over a few minutes, but you know what? That's what this is about. This bench racing. You know what? Whenever we used to bench race at the garage, you know what? The guys, they come around 7 o'clock at night and they wouldn't leave till freaking midnight. So
Yep.
yeah, we all told lies and drank beer and acted stupid, and then next week we did it all over again.
Yep.
So we're doing the same thing online.
That's right. All right, guys. Well, thanks for hanging with us. See you all next week and stay safe.